Welcome to another video. I began from the last video explaining to you about groups and merging, explained about some other couple of things. So, and in this video, we're going to be talking about components and where you might want to use them, or stuff like that. So let's say, for example, so what components are? Components are practically just a group with unique features. I think that's the simplest way I'll put that for you. Just a group with unique features. For example, you notice the icon here. This is just like a box icon on my outliner. I don't mind this untitled. This untitled is the name of my file. So I don't usually save these videos, the files of these videos. So I just, but you can see that this box icon here is showing me that this is a group. All right, that's one of the things you need to take note of under the outliner. If I come under components, which is where all the components you create will appear. All right, so if I come under components, you would notice that under here is you see different pre-made objects. So those are like what components are. It's like a kind of advanced group, but usually used to have pre-made objects in your scene or your software or whatever atmosphere. As you can see, I could just bring out some pre-made stuff. So you could actually make your own components by just clicking on a group or selecting a geometry, and you just hit make component like so. So if I have this already made as a group, I've already grouped it. I could just right click and click on make component. You see the make group is no longer there, but all have is edit group. And by the way, when you want to edit a group, you just have to double click it. All right, when you double click the group, it just takes you into the group. All right, so with that being said, that's how you edit a group. Now when I want to convert this to a component, all I need to do is just click on make component, and it just brings up the create component dialog, and I can just give it the name of the type of component, give it a description, and I can glue it to a particular axis. So I won't really go into explaining any of this. All I'll just do is to don't set any of this, don't set axis, don't set any of this. We'll do that much later. You want to ensure that this is selected, because if this is not checked and you click create, what will happen is it will just create a component and store it, but this particular object will still remain there as a group. So I want it to replace the object in question with a new component created. So I'll just leave that checked and I'll click on create. Now it goes ahead and makes this thing a component. If I come down to my outliner, you quickly notice that under my outliner, I have a couple of objects now added. The cuboid is no longer just box, it's like a window sign. And that sign just means, that's a component sign. All right. So what that means is a pre-made object that I can just, duplicate. Now, there are different features of components that I would like to introduce you to now. Now, if I have this as a group, so I have these two things grouped. This is a group, this is a component, all right? So let me just quickly show you something. I don't think I've showed you this before, but when you select things and you move them, you remember I said when you press the control key, it duplicates them, all right? So, but when I duplicate this and puts it here, I click once, I could press the asterisk key on my keyboard to indicate number, and then I can type in another number 3. What that means is duplicate this object through the same distance the number of times I entered there. So I hit enter and it duplicates it. It does that duplication 3 times. All right, that's a very neat trick there. All right, so what I want to show you here is this is a group, and every group is unique. Every group is unique. What that means is I can edit this now. I can do push pull here, bring this face, push something. Okay, and push this part up and maybe push this down a little bit, or maybe take it under, stuff like that. And you can see it doesn't affect any other thing. That's because they're all groups and they're all unique. But here's one thing about component. Every component is linked. If I double click this to come into it to edit it, immediately I click on a face, you notice every other component, every other instance of that component highlights. So if I push pull this, you see it affects every single one of them at the same time. And suddenly you begin to think, wait, Wow, that's interesting. Where can I use this? There are so many ways you can use this as a component. Um, you could use this when you're making a table leg, you have four sides to the leg, or maybe when you're modeling a car like this, you could divide the car into two, model half, mirror it to the other side, so that anything you do to this half happens to the other half. There are many ways you could use that. All right, when you're modeling buildings, you're doing an estate and you want to put the same building on a row, different things like that. That's where you could use the likes of components. All right, so that's just something that you need to note. So I'll just go ahead and delete this and just show you a simple illustration of what I just explained. All right, so if I create a shape like this and the very symmetric middle is here, and I could just go ahead and select this part and create a, all right, so I just select that part and make a component out of it. I just call it half. All right, so I'll select this part and delete. Oh, well, wait, I did create that as a component, right? All right, so I'll just delete everything there. I think I didn't check the other thing. So now if I double click this and I just quickly, let me just draw a line from here to this point just for understanding what I'm dealing with. Now, if I duplicate this thing now and bring it to this point, now it's very symmetric. All right, so what I want to do here is to flip it along the red axis so that it mirrors, is like a mirror. All right, that flip tool is like your mirror tool. So now you see I have it exactly similar, you know, mirror to the other side. Now, one of the things we do with this is that we could actually use this to perform different kinds of things and get different kind of outcomes. For example, now I can begin to start modeling with this. I could just clean this up, and let's say, for example, I wanted to push this up a little bit. I select this whole thing. I just double select to get the edges selected. I deselect these edges and then I insert that. Suddenly I could just, start pushing this up, and you see everything I'm doing is affecting both sides. So if I just do this to this part and then I push this in, you see how everything I'm doing in this one side is being mirrored to the other side. So I just quickly insert this to this point again, and I just, just playing around with it. I just want to show you the power of mirror. All right, so that's not, components. There's a way, there are different ways you can merge components to, achieve different things. So if I just put this down here, oh no, let me use an arc. I'll get an arc there and, just arc it out, you know just so I have something interesting going on here. So I could just delete this bottom part and I could push pull this part till it's cut off. So you see how it's a very replica mirror of the other thing. So it's just the same thing, but I'm just modeling one side and it's mirroring to the other side. So I have this as something. So this half and half, I could go ahead and group it and call it, well, this is not a pyramid, so I just call it pyramid. And like that, I have that object. I can go ahead and make this a component again. You get, you could mix component groups, component. There's no limit to it. All right. So you could have a table that has 6 legs. Each of those legs are components. And you have the seating where the stuff is, where the top of the table, and you just join the whole components of the leg, because the leg could just be one component that is duplicated in 6 places, and then you take that whole thing and then you make it one group, and then you can now convert that group to a component, and then you have a pre-made table that you can use in your scene anywhere. Maybe if you had a dining hall that have like 3 dining tables, you could just take one copy, put one copy there, and maybe whenever you want to change the colors of the type of table, or maybe you want to make an adjustment to one of the dining, everything reflects in every other of the table. So the ways you can use components are quite dynamic, and that brings me to the end of this particular video. So we've talked about merging and grouping and further selection. So one of the things I would like to show you again about selection is, before I conclude this video, is when I come into this model and I select this shape, this face, Now, paraventure, I want to select every face that is linked to this face. I don't select down here. I want to select everything here and probably everything here. While I have this face selected, I right click on it and I go under select. There are different things here. So I can select all, I can select bounding edges. It selects all the edges that's connected to that face. Or I could select connected faces. It selects all the faces that are connected to this particular face. So it selects this face here, selects this face here, it selects this face here. Every face that goes up and down, connected, merged to this particular face. All right. And if I go ahead and select, if I go ahead and select bounding edges, you can just quickly see that that is everything it had selected. So if I also click here and come under select, you can see all connected is that triple click 1 2 3. That's what all connected is. Then if I come under select again and I do with same tag, now that one I won't show that here, or with same material is similar. So if I do same material, if I had painted this thing, let's say I painted here red, I painted here red, and every other thing is orange. When I right click on this and select with same materials, it will select all the painted red in this particular part. So I think that's that for that. So there's the select faces, invert selection. That's if I do invert selection now, it will select everything but this one. Select everything in the geometry but that face. See, the face is no longer selected. All right. So that's just the basic other thing I wanted to add as touching those selection tools. So in the next video, all right. So in our next video, we would actually go into modeling complex shapes, and that's not actually like general shapes. Since we started this course, we've been modeling inanimate things, or more like we've been modeling free forms, shapes that don't really have sense or meaning. All right. So but at this point in the video, in the next video, we'll start modeling basic things like table, chair, cabinets, cupboard, spoons, cups, spoons, doors, windows, and we'll just do a couple of models. I think I'll make that like 3 videos modeling real life objects. I think after that follows more modeling exercise. So this linked model, I've kind of explained that because I do that with what they call it, with the the component thing. So we're literally speaking, the next line of activity is going to be modeling things like table, chair, cabinet, bucket, cup, spoons, and the likes of that. So I'm just going to stick to this. I'm not going to do anything outside of this. All right, we could do different things. We model a laptop, we model anything. Literally speaking, everything you have learned so far enables you to literally model whatsoever comes to your mind. Right, so when we're done modeling this, then we'll go ahead to start talking about textures, texturing, and materials. So under that, we're going to look at a couple of basic concepts. So and when we look at those concepts, we will now go ahead to start modeling real modeling a house, modeling things of that nature. So thank you so much for your time. Sorry for the length of the video, and catch you in the next video when we begin to model real objects. All right, bye.